Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Caleb, Joy Marie, and Nathan all sent me a story out of Seattle from king5.com, King 5.com. Kia and Hyundai face City of Seattle lawsuit over rise in car thefts. There was a bunch of news about these cars over the last year where it became well known that the vehicles were easy to steal, such that it became like a TikTok stunt to go out and steal a Kia or a Hyundai. And because of that, and the fact that the TikTok videos were widely viewed, there were spikes in these cars being stolen all across America. And people were complaining, going, why don't Kia or Hyundai do something about that? And they may have done something, but they haven't done as much as they should have, most likely, because the thefts are still happening. And so obviously, if you own one of these cars and it gets stolen, that's a problem. If your car is insured against theft and it gets stolen, it's also a problem for the insurance companies. So I've seen articles saying some insurance companies are now saying, if we're going to insure those things, either the rates are going to go sky high or we won't insure them at all, which would be another problem. So here's the situation. Kia and Hyundai are now facing a lawsuit filed by the city of Seattle over these car thefts. And that's an interesting twist. I've never heard of anything quite like this. According to the city, in the 2-year period, thefts of Kia and Hyundai cars increased by 363% in 1 year and 503% the next year. The city attorney for Seattle filed the lawsuit in federal court against the car manufacturers, alleging their failures to install anti-theft technology in some vehicles contributes to an exponential rise in theft. You might be asking yourself, wait, hang on a second though, Steve. You buy a car, you buy a Kia, you live in Seattle, your car gets stolen. So on behalf of that incident happening, the city sues the manufacturer. What's the cause of action there? Because you can't just take out a piece of paper and go, I think this person owes me money and file it. You've got to have a cause of action. You've got to explain the legal theory as to why that party owes you something, not why that party owes someone else something, which might be possible in a class action, but we're not talking about a class action, we're talking about this. So the question is, what would the theory be? And so I actually stopped myself at this moment in time and said, what would the theory be? And I came up with an answer. And I believe the answer comes from the concept of nuisance. Nuisance. So if you do something or have something that becomes a nuisance, then the city can step in to abate the nuisance. So to give you the best example, let's suppose that you owned a building and your building burned down, and it was within city limits, but the building burned down. And you were so fed up with the fact that your building went and burned down that you said, you know something, screw it, I'm done with this. And you just walked away from it. And you left this hulk of a building right here. Well, someone's going to come by and go, you should clean that up. And you know something, I'm sick of it. I didn't burn it down. I'm sick of that. I walk away from it. The city could obviously say that's a nuisance. We don't like to look at it. We're worried about it being unsafe. It's actually a threat to the community. It might not harm a lot of people, but it's certainly a nuisance, okay? And so if the city has to do things in response to these cars being stolen, then that could become a nuisance. And what does the city have to do? Among other things, respond to stolen car reports. And it does waste the time of police officers who ought to be doing something else. So a city release states that from 2021 to 2022, thefts of Kia cars increased by those numbers I told you about, and alleges that Kia and Hyundai knew of the public safety concerns from the spike in thefts and that neither company took meaningful steps to address the problem. Kia and Hyundai chose to cut corners and cut costs at the expense of their customers and the public. As a result, our police force has had to tackle a huge rise in vehicle theft and related problems with already stretched resources. So we are talking about the wasted resources, and that is the police time. Now, Seattle taxpayers must shoulder the burden of the increase in theft. Kia and Hyundai need to take responsibility for the public safety hazard they created. So it's a public safety hazard, which gets us back to the theory of nuisance. An insurance industry group said in September that these cars are stolen at nearly twice the rate of the rest of the auto industry because their keys lack the computer chips for theft immobilization. Instructional videos from social media are believed to have helped spread the knowledge of this information, and that's where it came from. The Highway Loss Data Institute, which is a unit of the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, found that Hyundais and Kias without the immobilizers had a vehicle theft claim rate of 2.18 per 1,000 insured vehicle years. The rest of the industry combined had a rate of 1.21. So it's not quite double, but it's a big jump. An insured vehicle year is equal to one vehicle insured for 1 year. The Institute, which issued its findings on Thursday, compared vehicles from 2015 through 2019, and it studied vehicle theft claims from 2021. Now that people know how easy it is to steal these cars, the Seattle Police Department has noticed a large increase in the theft of these models. And that's the police chief talking. From 48 reported thefts of Hyundais and Kias in August to 197 in December, 64% of those vehicles were later recovered within city limits, which shows that they're most likely being taken for short periods of time, often in order to commit other crimes. To protect the hard-earned property of Seattle residents, carmakers need to take this problem seriously and do all they can to prevent these thefts. Many of these cars are also probably be taken for what we call joyrides. Someone jumps in the car, steals it, drives it around a little bit, does goofy stuff, runs over a few curbs, does donuts if there's snow out, does donuts if there's not snow out, and then just says, and just jumps out of the car and leaves it. And a joyride. So committing other crimes, they could use it as a getaway car, which wouldn't be fun if there was some massive crime committed and the people got away in your car and dumped it. The police would show up to speak to you about that. Now, you might have a great alibi, and the fact you reported your car stolen will probably also help you, but no one wants to waste their time doing this. It's a waste of time. So drivers of two these cars say they both had their vehicles stolen with the method described, and apparently they were part of a press conference. Even the tools in my trunk, they didn't take. They did carve something onto my hood and into the side of my car. They smashed my screen. They carved in the back of my seat. They took a knife to the roof. It smelled weird, but it was intact. There was only one other scrape on the outside, the man said. I'm really glad someone's doing something, and I hope that means that people who drive Hyundais and Kias can get their cars protected, because now that people know how easy it is to steal them, who knows how long it's going to last. Meanwhile, the other driver said he hopes this will make a difference moving forward. When he called the theft in, he learned how common the issue was. Even if they do find the car, if you don't know what condition it's going to be in, the day mine got taken, the officer said he was responding to 14 in that day. Both Hyundai and Kia shared statements with King 5 in response to the lawsuit. Hyundai said, "We believe this lawsuit is improper and unnecessary. In response to increasing thefts targeting our vehicles without push-button ignitions and immobilizing anti-theft devices in the U.S., Hyundai Motor America has made engine immobilizers standard on all vehicles produced as of November 2021. Additionally, Hyundai has taken a series of actions to deter thefts of affected vehicles, including an upcoming software update scheduled to be available beginning next month and provided at no cost to consumers." So they claim they've got the problem fixed with the cars that are being built right now. Hyundai is also providing free steering wheel locks as available to select law enforcement agencies across the country, including in the Seattle area, for distribution to local residents who own or lease affected models. So if you got one, you might be able to call your local police department and see if they know about this. Meanwhile, Kia says they remain concerned that criminal actors are targeting certain Kia cars with a steel key and turn-to-start ignition systems. Well, by the way, steel key, there's S-T-E-E-L. While no car can be made completely theft-proof, Kia continues to make steering wheel locks available to customers through interested local law enforcement agencies subject to supply. Kia also continues its efforts to develop additional solutions for vehicles not originally equipped with an immobilizer, and so on and so forth. The city attorney seeks to recover damages for the city and compel the auto manufacturers to abate the nuisance caused by their failure. So this action filed by the city of Seattle, it's a lawsuit, but they're not going to get money for any consumers whose cars were stolen. That's between you and your insurance company, most likely. However, the city is saying, we've wasted so much money responding to and chasing down these stolen Kias and Hyundais that we need to be reimbursed by Kia and Hyundai for causing this to happen. And so I know that cities routinely file lawsuits to abate nuisances, but I've never seen one quite like this, where they're suing car makers because of the fact that the cars get stolen, and they're claiming it's a problem with the car and the manufacturer. Therefore, this falls on the manufacturers. So there you go. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting lawsuit. And like I said, Kia and Hyundai say that they've fixed the problem in the cars they're building right now. But there's a lot of these cars on the road, and a lot of them are going to get stolen in the near future. So we'll see what's going to happen. But if you've got one of these cars, they do claim that there's stuff available. Check out their website and see there's information there, because there probably should be, that you can find about whether or not that other stuff they're distributing to the police departments might be available to you. But I'll watch this because it's such an interesting interesting lawsuit. Caleb, Joy Marie, and Nathan all sent it from king5.com. Kia and Hyundai face City of Seattle lawsuit over the rise in car thefts. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. One of the funny things about the stock market is that every time one person buys, another sells, and both think they are astute.